Don't know if I'm being foolish. Don't know if I'm being blind.
Love is
Something's done, bending. Can tell by the look in your eyes. Hello and welcome to the first ever version of the Missouri Rhino Watch Show. My name is Joshua Lehman and this guy over here.
I'm Brett and we are on the air.
We've made it, guys. We've made it. So, this is the first ever show of the Missouri Rhino Watch. Please bear with us as we're trying to figure it out as we go. We have a phenomenal podcast producer. I'm going to shout at him out now and at the end of the show. KC Podcast Studios, Mr. Sam Johnson. If you see this marvelous set behind me, the reason for it is because Sam is a marvel in and of himself.
Agreed.
All right.
Agreed. So, thanks, Sam, for putting this together. Before we go on, Josh, let me ask you something. What's the wattage on this podcast? What sort of yap are we talking here?
I don't know. Probably like a Duracell battery.
Duracell.
Yeah.
So when we're switching on the AM dial, we're going to be able to find us, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. We're going to be on YouTube right now, and then after we get done, we're going to be on all the places you can find podcasts. Correct, Sam? On Spotify.
That's right.
On
That's right.
Locals. On Apple Podcast. On Google Play Store. What is it? Google Play? Is that just how you say it? Okay. Yeah. I'm new to all this. Sam is the reason why we've been able to accomplish all this, so thank him for it.
Yeah. Excellent. Great, Sam. Great to have you.
Right on. So what we're going to get into first is just to give you an understanding of the structure of the show, right? So it's real simple. It's expose, it's educate, and it's call to action. And so today we have some things that maybe a lot of you have already heard about. From what I understand is that most of the Missouri populace have not heard about it. So we're going to get into the redistricting scandal. We're also going to get into something called ranked choice voting,
which just came out. We just were notified about it today.
Yes,
quite shocking.
We actually slapped it into the show last minute because it actually ties right into everything that we are speaking to. Yep. And then we're going to say some names of some rhinos that everybody should know. And then we are going to get into an educational session and introduce the idea of the doctrine of the lesser magistrate. Shout out to Brian. You know who you are, buddy. I appreciate all you do. And then we are going to bring about a call to action so that we can, like Sam said so famously, give you information so that you can get in formation. How about that? Isn't that cool?
That's good.
I like that.
That's pretty good. I've heard worse.
So, first things first, right? So, redistricting. What is redistricting? Do you know how many counties or how many districts are in the state of Missouri?
There are 8.
This is correct, guys. There are 8. And so you'll hear things like 7-1, 6-2, 5-1-1. And the idea is when you're hearing those numbers, you're saying, if you say 7-1, you're saying 7 districts for a Republican, and then 1 district for a Democrat. Or, 6-2 would be 6 Republicans, 2 Democrats, so on and so forth. So we're going to break this down and make it simplistic for you so that you have the information so that you can take your grievances to our government, our representatives, and let them know that you do not appreciate their gerrymandering tactics and the fact that they have sold us out to the highest bidder.
It's not so much what they're doing, it's how they're doing it.
Correct.
I think that's the part that's
So because redistricting has to happen. Every 10 years you have a census, right? So 2010 they had a census, 2020 we had a census. I was talking to this lady, Lois, at the Capitol the other day, and she was telling me that even the census is bad. Yeah. Because of being, all the COVID stuff. So they don't know if they got a true census or not. So everything in this is actually kind of foul, to say a nice word. We're going to try and be as non-inflammatory tonight as possible. Non-profane.
Profane.
Yeah. Inflammatory probably the entire time.
Yeah. We'll try not to cuss.
Yeah.
Kids are listening.
So the redistricting thing. So what the issue is we're in a battle right now for a 7-1 map. And what that means is we get 7 districts for Republicans and 1 district for Democrats, which is actually a great swing for us. And these are congressional districts, so U.S. congressional districts, because what it will do is actually give us an extra Republican seat to replace either Emmanuel, a woman cleaver, or Cory Bush.
Cory Bush.
Cory Bush.
Cory Bush.
And so I think it's actually Emmanuel, amen, cleaver that will be gone. And
a woman.
A woman. How could I forget that? That was, yes. Mm-hmm. So this guy came out and prayed in the name of Brahma. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. Did you see that?
It was on TV.
Yeah, so he said a woman, which was the funny part.
Mm-hmm. We said amen first.
But then, right.
It's inclusive, Josh.
Right. We want to get both of them in there.
Yeah.
But then before that, he came out in the name of, and prayed in the name of Brahma, and this guy's supposed to be a Christian. Mm-hmm. Like that actually was what flew over me the most.
Yeah.
Because Brahma is a Hindu god, you know? Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so back to the redistricting. So we want a 7-1 map based on the same process that we've used for the past 30 years, 3 decades, 3 censuses. This amazing patriot named Representative Nick Schroer, he worked with demographers, if I'm saying that correctly, and attorneys and all the other people to put together the appropriate map. And the appropriate map based on our trends and what did we win? Missouri ran all red last year, last election.
Yep, 20.
And we won Trump by 15 plus points.
Yeah.
Right? And so
it's a red state.
It is
7-1 is appropriate.
It is absolutely a red state.
Yeah.
So anyways, we deserve this because it's what the people actually are wanting. So anyways, the other map, this guy named Shaw, Rep. Shaw, and Senator Bernskoder, right? Yeah. Both Republicans, believe it or not. They brought out a 6-2 map. And for whatever reason, they say their math is better than ours, and 6-2 is a better map than a 7-1, which is, okay, that's... Sure, let's argue that somehow, some
Common
way.
Core math.
Right, it kind of is. Because it's... I don't know, I can't actually explain it. I can't either. So they say
actually
that
it's a 5-3 map.
4-4 map in a bad year, right?
Who was that guy who said that?
I think it was Tony Luke Meyer. Yeah, it's interesting. He happens to be our senator.
Person, right?
Yeah, he was brushing his teeth.
He was brushing his teeth. Well, he was about to brush his teeth. I just happened to run in.
We ran into old Tony in the Senate bathroom.
Nothing weird.
On the 4th floor. Definitely nothing weird. But he was caught a little off guard. And we asked him about the 7-1 map. And he said, well, you mean a 5-3? I mean a 4-4. So what that means is they're saying in a bad year, in a bad Democratic year, and they revert back to the Obama 2018 year or whatever, that if we get a 7-point swing, it'll be a 4-4 map instead. Well, I don't know how a 6-2 map would be any better in a bad Democratic year. But why make any decisions off fear? And then at the same time, if you did your job, would we have a bad year?
We wouldn't have any problem like that.
Yeah. Because conservatism is actually just the preservation of the Constitution. And then the Constitution speaks to equal rights and protections under the law and the ability for everyone to have the freedom to pursue the life they want. And I think the biggest problem has been rhinos or traitors betraying our principles and our values and making us look really bad.
Yeah.
I think that in a really good, especially the position we're in now, if we had a really good year, well, Trump, there's a lot of people who hated him at first and whatever, but now they're having a reference point of what it is actually like under the other type of administration. And I don't see this as red or blue or Democrat, Republican. I think of it as patriots and anti-patriots. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, you're put in the office to vote a certain way, using your own words for the campaign, and you're going against those beliefs once you get into power. That's a problem.
Yeah. So let me square up so I don't get yelled at anymore.
Yeah. Sam runs a tight ship.
Sam does run a tight ship. He's over there flailing around he wrote it down on a piece of paper to yell at me. Okay. So
talk about what you were saying about how they got to that 6-2 map.
Yeah. So, okay. So this is the biggest thing. You are going to talk to your representatives and they're going to give you all of these straw man arguments. Okay. This is the one principle that we are going to stand on. Okay. So the way that redistricting works is it's the same thing as any other bill. And the process of a bill is it gets written and then introduced to the entire floor, whether it be the Senate floor or the House, okay? And then from there, it goes into a committee. And the committee works on it together, right? which is just a smaller portion of said House or Senate. And then it comes out of that to go onto the floor to go to a full vote, right? And so when it's the whole purpose is you introduce it, you refine it in the committee, you bring it out to the floor, and then you try and get it passed. So it starts when session starts, okay? So the big thing is that in 2020 we had the census. Parson, good old Governor Rhino Parson, should have called a special session, okay? And what that means is the session ends, I think, in May. Okay, so our legislators work from like January to May, and then they're still employed by the state, so they can still come in and do their job. But the idea is session ends then. Well, you can call a special session, meaning, hey guys, come back to work and let's work on something that's important, right?
Not too much to ask.
We should have had a special session, but Parson, for some reason, refused to call that special session. I don't know why. But because of that, one big thing because of that, we're fighting it now when we should be putting other legislation through, right? Like election integrity.
Yeah.
Right? That's a pretty big one, especially with what we know has happened recently. So anyways, he didn't call a special session. During that time, there was a committee of Citizens Commission put together to help with creating district lines as well. And I think this is more state, not federal, but still it's important to know. He appointed this cat named John Ratliff. John Ratliff runs a strategic company, a political consulting company called Palm Strategic, okay? And he has many people on his, not his payroll, but many people are his clients that are in the state legislature. Caleb Rowden's one, Senate Florida Majority Leader. Sure. Blaine Luetkemeyer.
Oh, yeah, Luetkemeyer. The other Luetkemeyer.
I think Rob Vescovo. I've heard a bunch of different people, but I know for sure it's Blaine, and I know for sure it's Caleb because they also give, if you go to Palm Strategic website, you can actually see their faces with a quote giving shout out of props, right? Endorsements of Palm Strategic. Caleb even says, if it wasn't for John and his work here, I don't know if I'd be in office.
Yeah, you think? Yeah, you think so.
Anyway, so the point is you do not appoint someone who is working for the legislators for their purposes to a citizens commission to draw up maps for the people.
Right.
So that's one thing. Strike one, Parson. Right. So we'll go on from that. So the 2020 census, he didn't call a special session in 2021, and so that means then we would go into the 2022 general session and start with bills, right? Well, that starts in January. But lo and behold, Reps Shaw and Byrne-Scoter, they decided they're going to put a press release out on 12/31, which is also a holiday.
Mm-hmm. New Year's Eve.
Do the government work in holidays?
Not usually.
I don't think so. So 12/31, they put out a press release, and these guys are so stupid. You know why? Because now we can go back and track it, you fools. I'm going to put out a press release, put it in the paper, let everybody know the timeline, and then hopefully win it over. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Why would they do that? I mean, what is their play? Do they have to do that?
Yes. Well, no, they don't have to do that. So, in fact, it actually got conservative patriot Bob Onder, Senator Onder, basically grilling him and really helped us out because now we can see the underhandedness that's happening because so they put it out on 12/31, okay, 2021. They put it out on the weekend when no one can say anything about it. No one's working, even though session's not in anyways. And then they promote this map, like this is the map. And I guess they were just trying to get in front of the narrative. You know how they do.
That makes more sense. Otherwise, why would they do that?
I guess they were like first to the bell. We got it. We'll run with it. The Missouri people are so stupid that when we do it, they'll believe us, and then we'll be scot-free.
Yeah, especially on New Year's Eve when they're drinking.
They're all drinking. They're like, hey, you hear about the new map?
That's what I talked about at my New Year's Eve party.
Right, I was super excited about the new map.
Really exciting.
So anyways,
drink that.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. But anyways, they did it. Point being, guys, and forgive me for my ranting on this, but there's a Senate redistricting committee, and then there's a Republican or the House redistricting committee. Okay, you know what their job is? To work on a redistricting map. Right. Well, this is what it means. These guys came out with a map before the committees ever met to create a map. Now, understand what this means, people. This means that these morons, I'm sorry, but I mean, it's stupid. You put yourself out there. You're not even slick about it. But these guys go in and they create a map on their own, on the side, without the redistricting committees getting together. And guess what those committees represent, guys? Us. Those are our representatives representing our choices and our votes. So they get out and they come up with their own before they even go to committee.
Yeah.
Okay? So if anybody's voting on this map and telling you that it's a better map than anything else, tell them to kick rocks. For the main reason that why would you endorse a map that was created without any representation for us, the people?
So the people who are on the committee, why didn't they step up? Are we talking they're compromised as well?
Oh, okay. So
Palm strategic?
Yeah, well, so Palm strategic. Okay. So now we're rolling on into even more fun territory, okay?
Yeah.
So now that we have that understanding, right? They came up with a map on the outskirts of the people's input, basically, right? Our representatives are our representatives. They represent our interest. They did it without those individuals. Okay, so then it goes through the House. Rep. Shaw, remember, Rep. Shaw. He is the one who brought it through. And then it got rubber stamped through the committee, right? And then after it got rubber stamped through the committee, Nick Schroyer, Rep. Nick Schroyer, remember this name, Patriot, okay? He offers an amendment to make it a 7-1 map. He offers a fix. Well, good old Rob Vescovo, House Speaker, calls his amendment out of order because he missed it by like 1 or 2 citizens in an area. Now, normally you'd go back and you would talk about it and you would fix it. And also in that time frame, 1 or 2 people, a couple mishaps as far as how many people should be in this district compared to that or whatever, people probably, like Bob Onder said, or forgive me, Senator Onder said at the rally the last weekend, people could have moved in that moment of time when all of that was happening. So to call it out of order was just a ploy. They should have, if Vescovo was interested in giving us a good map, he would have probably said, hey, let's talk about this more. Let's debate it. Let's figure it out. No, he rules it out of order and kicks Schroyer's amendment to the side, and the Shaw-Pelosi map continues on down the line. Okay?
Yeah.
So then it goes through, and get this, guys, your representatives, your leadership in the House, Vescovo and Wyman, I think it's Wyman, yeah. These two guys, feckless leadership, they vote in favor of this atrocious map, right? So
Pelosi map. Let's keep calling it a Pelosi map.
Yeah, the Pelosi map.
I think that has more impact.
It does, because, guys, what it will do is it will send one more Democrat to Pelosi's house.
Right.
And then guess what? If they continue to own the House, then we don't get any committees, chairs. That means we don't get any investigations into Biden, into any of the corruption, the January 6th scandal, which by what I mean by that is
insurrection, I believe TV says.
The FBI, the Fedsurrection.
Oh, the Fedsurrection.
Yeah, the Fedsurrection. Yeah. So we don't get any investigation in that. We don't get any relief for the people that have been held in prison in D.C., right? We don't get looked into the Fauci, right?
We don't get to look into anything because we don't have the power.
Right.
Because we're giving up representatives.
Right.
And it's not the Democrats giving them up. It's
the
Republicans.
And this isn't just here. This is actually something that's happened. If you're following Bannon or anybody else, this is happening nationwide.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, oh, it's 1 or 2 reps here. It's 1 or 2 reps times 30, right? That's you could get 60 reps out of that. They're trying to overcome the red wave. Anyways, okay.
Right.
So moving on. So it goes through the House. Schroyer's amendment gets knocked down by Vescovo. Vescovo and Wyman or whatever.
Wywoman.
Yeah. They both vote in favor of it. If you just need this picture's floating around everywhere and it shows who voted yes and who voted no, get a hold of that paper and you will understand who your rhinos are. Okay. Anyways, it goes from there.
Post that to locals.
Yes, we will, and we will.
Ah,
yes.
man, Sam, the best engineer in the game.
I'm telling you, bringing us back.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that I had my microphone turned off when I said that. That was a pretty good cue in for.
Yeah. So he said we will post it on locals. Since
You'll post it on locals.
Yeah, we'll post it on locals.
I was being hyperbolic when I said he was the best engineer in the game.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. Sometimes
good.
he forgets to hit the button.
Yeah.
It's okay though.
So
we love you, Sam.
So it goes from the House into the Senate, and thank God for the conservative caucus.
Yep.
Because these gentlemen are the ones who have stood in the gap for us. Okay, and I want to name these individuals.
Name them off. They're good.
Because you guys need to know them. I mean, they really are. And this isn't the first time that they've stood in the gap. They've stood in the gap for all the things that we care for a long time now. Okay, Senator Mike Moon, wonderful individual. Senator Rick Bratton, former Marine.
Always a Marine.
Cool dude. That's
Always
right.
a Marine.
That's right. My apologies, sir. Senator Bill Eigel, Senator Denny Hoskins. I like Denny. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Senator Andrew Koenig, Senator Eric Burleson,
Yes.
and then Senator Dr. Bob Onder.
Yeah.
Love this guy, too.
We met Dr. Onder the other day.
Yes,
Senator
we did.
Onder.
He had a clean outfit on.
He sure
didn't he?
did, man. For being up for 24 hours or whatever.
Oh, they've been
being awake. It was incredible.
It was.
Not
it really
one
was.
wrinkle.
That's true.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like that wrinkle-resistant fabric.
Could be.
Could be.
It could be.
Well, I
You
appreciate
would think
it.
they would have access to that down in Jeff City. It's
You
a
would
small
hope
town
so.
and all, but I
You
think
would
they
hope
could
so.
get it. Yeah.
So, anyways, so these conservative senators are absolutely phenomenal, and they're the reason why we don't have this horrible district. Right. So they filibustered for I think the longest time in Missouri history, over 50 hours.
Yeah.
Right. And what's so awesome is they were doing it before we caught on, and then we caught on, and then all the Patriots were like sending pizza to all the other Patriots that were up there and feeding them and holding the line. It was a lot of fun. They
were sending in stories, sendending in lyrics.
Oh,
to songs.
yeah. So we started.
So awesome.
We were like, a friend of mine, you know who you are, gave me the idea of trolling the Rhinos by sending in song lyrics. Because when you filibuster, and I'm not going to assume people understand what a filibuster is. The whole point of a filibuster is you get time to talk on the floor, and until you rest, in other words, stop talking, you have the right to keep talking. So the minority's ability, even though the Republicans are a supermajority, the minority, the conservatives, ability to hold off a vote on this is what's kept it going. And so they just get up and they read. They read and they give speeches and they do different things like that. And it was really a very colorful event because there were some who were very, very respectful of the chamber and all this other stuff. And I'm 1,000% for that. But at the same time, it's like sometimes gloves come off.
Yeah.
And them reading "We're Not Gonna Take It" by
Twisted
Sister
Yeah,
was
awesome. The lyrics.
Was epic.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is like it made the base so excited.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, yes, because we despise these rhinos.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, and they talk down to you. They talk to you like you're incompetent and you don't understand what's going on.
Yeah,
Honey.
like that. Was it?
It was Caleb Rowden talking to
Yeah.
I forget who specifically, but one of his constituents, and she came up to him with legitimate questions, and he basically said, "You just don't understand. It's too complicated for you.
Pat her on the
Leave
head.
it to me." You know, I
Give
mean,
her
these
some
people
milk and send her off to bed.
Yes, these people are the worst.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it goes into the Senate, and our senators stand up and they fight incredibly well. And because of that, they've now the leadership. Caleb Rowden is the Senate Floor Majority Leader, and Dave Schatz. He likes to call it Shots. I don't know why.
He's not saying it right.
He's not. It's spelled with an A.
Yeah, Schatz.
Schatz.
Yeah.
Schatz.
Yeah. I went to some college, not all of them,
Right.
but it's spelled Schatz.
It's Schatz.
That's how he says
Why
it.
does he say shots
I
all
don't
the
think
time?
he's saying it right.
Why did people say shots all the time?
Maybe he'll come on the show and tell us.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Yeah, he's a fisherman, I think.
He likes to do bow hunting.
No, he's a straight shooter.
Straight shooter. That's
That's
right.
what
That's
it
right.
I'll have to reach out to him.
You should.
I'll reach
thanks,
out
Sam.
to
You
him.
should. Yeah. You
Thanks.
should.
Make sure you hit that button though.
I think he
The like button?
Hit the like button,
and the mic button.
and then dial 9 to get out. Make an outside line. It'll be good.
Yeah. So Senate leadership, they brought all that in.
Mm-hmm.
Our great conservatives have stood up and stood into the gap. Right. So.
So they have shelved that for now.
They have shelved that for now. So they took it off the schedule, which means we've won thus far, guys. We have won thus far. Now, let me give you an understanding of the type of straw men that they are using.
But before you get into that,
Okay.
we were able to get that shelved because people took action.
Yes.
Word got out
Yes.
and people took action.
Yes.
You didn't have to move heaven and earth.
Correct.
Right? You all you had to do is reach out and let them know that that we see you.
Correct.
We know what you're trying to do.
Correct.
And they backed off.
Let me explain something real quick. Like when I did the expose on Rowden, I was like, man, this is probably gonna be hard to find. It was so easy. It's everywhere. You know the problem is, we're not looking.
Yeah.
We're not looking.
The information is out there.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why we're doing this, to educate, to show them where to go to see it.
Correct.
Anybody can do this.
I mean, and one of the best things to do, if you want to vet your rep, okay, go to the Missouri Republican platform. So you just type in Missouri Republican platform in DuckDuckGo. Don't use Google ever again in your life. DuckDuckGo. Or Brave. But type it in. It will take you to our platform page, and it has tenets. It's basically saying this is what we stand for. And then all you have to do is take what we stand for and then objectively reference the way these people are voting. Mm-hmm. And guess what you will find? There's at least 14 rhinos.
Yeah. Not us. Not what we stand for.
Right. What the Republican platform stands for and the oath of office they take and the platform that they assume. Mm-hmm. You know,
what they got voted in on.
Yeah, I don't have this is the thing. I don't have a problem with Democrats.
No,
I don't, because they're Democrats. That's their choice.
We know what they stand for.
Right, and they tell us, and then they do it.
Yeah.
What I hate are people who parade themselves as something as they're not, mm-hmm. And then run off to the bank with our money.
Yeah.
Our tax dollars. Not only that, our trust. Conservatives, Republicans are good people, have great hearts, and what they've done is they've used our naivete against us, our good hearts against us.
Good hearts is probably a better way of putting it.
It was really hard to say, like, they're doing that to us. But then when you see it, you can't deny what your cognitive dissonance is trying to give you. Because I watched a video the other night with Caleb Rowden explaining things, mm-hmm. right?
He's blessed, isn't he?
Woo! He's so blessed. And the thing is he was so good at lying. Mm-hmm. Or obfuscating that I literally was like, man, have I been wrong this whole time? And then I had to go back and objectively look at the facts. Yeah. And I was like, nope, this guy's a liar.
Yeah. They're professional liars.
It's crazy because you're like, who gets groomed for that? Oh, they do.
Yeah.
But we don't. But the good thing is now is we're waking up, right? So Brett's point is huge because I have so many friends. I have a friend, his initials are PS. He knows who he is. Mm-hmm. He tells me all the time that he doesn't think calling or emailing makes any difference. But objectively, we found out it does.
It does.
We beat Kalroff. The people all came together to beat Kalroff.
Yep.
The health director that was going to implement a test to stay program.
Huge.
Oh, my God.
Huge.
Track and trace, not mandates. Not mandates.
No, it's not a mandate.
No,
it's just a track and trace.
Track and trace, not mandates.
Take a swab, go back to school. You can go to work. It's gonna be great.
Remember how remember listening to Tony Luke Meyer question him, and he guided him through. You're not for mandates of track and trace, and he goes, no, not mandates, but. And was about to lead into it, and he just moved on to the next question. Yeah. He led him through the question.
Because mandates has a bad word to it.
Right, and they could honestly say he's not for mandates.
Yeah.
But he thinks that vaccinations work, and he wants at least a 90% or 75%. It said 80, it said 85, but he wanted a high percentage of vaccination rates. He likes masks on our children. He thinks they work. Mm-hmm. Right. Anyways.
Yeah.
So these people are conniving, underhanded, and slippery. Okay.
But action was taken.
Correct.
He can no longer be up for his
lifetime ban.
Lifetime
ban. You want to talk about a win? That's what started all this.
Yeah.
We realized that if we stood up and we said enough, that we could win. And you know who stood in the gap? Senator Mike Moon.
Hell of a mustache.
Does have a wonderful mustache.
Man.
He has a great mustache. An amazing individual. He's a cattle farmer. Cattle rancher, forgive me if that's the way you say it, but he's just a hardworking individual who's come to Jeff City to serve the people and has done well, and they hate him for it.
Yep.
In fact, we'll get into what they did to him here.
We'll get into that.
So real quick, I just want to cover the straw man arguments that they're going to use for the map. First one is, oh God, we don't want a federal judge to make our maps if we don't settle. So there's a lot of these people, like the Republican side, using this messaging saying, tell these conservative members to stop using this as a time for their special interest because they're going to run the clock out and then federal judges are going to make the map. Two things real quick, okay? First of all, how does that benefit them?
Right.
Secondly, U.S. Constitution and the Missouri Constitution, as far as what I understand, and I've been looking at it, the courts can't make the map. They can just say that's constitutional, that's not constitutional, and if they say it's not, kick it back to the legislature. Legislature makes the map again. So that's
as
a
it
lie.
should be.
Right.
Elected officials.
Correct. And then they also say, well, we're coming up to a deadline, right? Like a deadline. The only deadline, the only deadline is the election.
Yeah.
And guess what? There's precedents that if we go to the election, we just fall back on the map we're currently in.
Which is
6-2.
6-2.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. And maybe that's what they're wanting. Now think about
Perhaps.
it. If they introduce that 6-2.
Well, I think no, because I think they wanted to get that through. They weren't expecting the fight that they got.
Okay.
And remember now this 5-2 or 5-2-1 map, right? Which is a 6-2. It's really a 5-2-1 because it carves up District 2 and turns it purple. Ann Wagner's district.
Ann Wagner.
You know,
she's blessed.
She is.
She
blessed.
said so.
She's blessed too.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing that for whatever reason during Lincoln days, Schatz and Rowden.
Schatz.
No, it's with an A.
It was Schatz.
It's with an A.
Yeah.
Schatz and Rowden both went to Lincoln days to meet with Blaine Luetkemeyer and Ann Wagner, and they had a laptop and it had map software on it.
Interesting.
Why were they doing that?
What sort of
for?
map?
I don't know.
Like of the United States?
I don't know. I think it was like a Missouri map.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they were
That
like.
would make sense.
Maybe they were just trying to get some good advice on how to go about the process of finding the best map possible.
Yeah. Well, Ann Wagner, she's
blessed.
She's blessed. Boy, she is.
So, anyways, the straw man of the courts aren't going to decide the map. The courts aren't going to decide the map, and there is no real deadline except for the election. And worst case scenario, we fall back on where we are now. And it would actually be it would be a win in comparison to the 5-2-1, which also connects to this other stuff. So anyways, look into this stuff. Don't take our word for it. Take our direction in the sense of like the words we're saying. Encouragement. Yeah, and look into these people. Look into the map. See if what I'm saying is correct about how it came about. Look into the 14 Republicans that voted against the 7-1 map and keep voting against the conservative caucus. Then look into their previous history, like Holly Thompson Rader, which is weird because why is it Rader? It's Rehder. It's like Redder, but it's Rader. Everybody says their name's wrong.
Spell that again.
Rehder. Holly Thompson Rader. Anyways, so a lot of people like this lady. What's crazy is she's usually had a great record of voting, but you know she's got a hypodermic needle exchange bill that she's trying to push. She wants to exchange needles.
Do you know that, Sam?
She wants.
I'm not opposed to needles.
Well, so the idea is it's going to cut down on spreading germs from heroin users.
Well, that doesn't sound so bad.
Right. It sounds very similar to Biden's crack pipe policy. And so, like, what are you doing, lady?
Yeah.
She's also the one that did the PDMP, which is the prescription drug watching you where you go bill. I forgot the MP part, but basically it's tracking level 2, 3, and 4 drugs, schedule 2, 3, and 4 drugs in a big database, right? And I saw somebody, I think Sirpot, talking about like, well, the reason we did it is because we already had one in the county and that wasn't that safe. So I then voted for one that would be in the state because they had better security for the data.
Oh,
give me a break.
I'm not buying that.
So, well, I mean, but that's stupid. Yeah. Anyways, what about the privacy and the right to the people to not invade our privacy?
Yeah, correct.
Anyways, so they just look into these people. 14 of them, they're not the best in the world.
Yeah.
But the conservative caucus, these gentlemen are. Okay.
Yeah. I think what we can do is put it on our website of each district that all 14 of those on. So anybody who's watching this, they can look and say, wait a minute. That's my guy, or that's my lady.
Right. Well, so if you guys go into the Missouri Rhino Watch Telegram channel, God, some of the greatest Patriots ever.
Yeah.
Like, it is literally like, I'm so excited to be a part of that every single day because these people are on fire. They have amazing talents and putting it together. I mean, they're thinking on their own, acting on their own, but we all have the same motives of truth and freedom and prosperity and the protecting of our rights. So if you go there and you go into the files section, you can find all kinds of great data. You can find some amazing people to get engaged with. You can find great ways to actually partner up with us and help us with research and rallies and everything else.
How do they join?
How do they join? So go to Telegram, and then you can just search Missouri Rhino Watch, or you can do mRwinowatch.com. RINO, because these aren't the cute and cuddly animals.
No,
these are the traitors, right? RINO, Republican in name only, right? So mRwinowatch.com, and you can find everything there. You can find our show links. You can find some articles that we wrote. You can find all kinds of different stuff. And you can obviously access our
latest
support
videos.
page, latest videos, all that good stuff.
All that, yep.
Anyways, okay, so now rolling into the next thing that we need to discuss, okay? This is called ranked choice voting, RCV, okay? This is insanity.
Yeah.
Okay.
This all ties together.
So what ranked choice voting is the idea of, okay, so when you go to vote, you usually vote for one person, right? Well, this is going to say, like, if you have 5 people on the ballot, you have to vote for all 5, but put them in order of who you like the most. So if it's like us plus like Obama and Trump, right? It'd be like, Sam's number 1.
Always.
Yeah. You're number 2. I'm number 3. I'm sorry that Trump's number 4. I just got to him. Trump's number 4 and Obama's number 5, right? Whatever. We put it on there. Well, the way it would happen is I would actually win, most likely, because if I got the most 3 votes or the moderate votes, right? All the ones that cancel out below that. So like when Obama's swept off because nobody likes him, right? Then whoever voted for Obama, now their vote goes to who their second person was. So it recalculates the votes and brings it up. And so basically what it does, if you want to think of it this way, right, left. And their argument is that it protects against the fringe.
Yeah.
Right? Well, guess what, guys? Conservatives are considered the fringe in their life. So you got leftists and you got conservatives. So everybody gets a vote, but then the conservative is bumped off eventually, and then the leftist is bumped off, and then all the votes for them go to the guy in the middle.
The establishment.
Rhinos.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they're working together, those Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, and it's super strange too because so this is a ballot initiative, meaning that it's going to be on the ballot in 2022. This is why we're getting it out now. It's just now in the signature gathering mode. So they're going around gathering signatures. If anybody comes around and says ranked choice voting, are you for it? Rip the paper up.
Yeah.
Not violently. Just grab it and tear it a little bit.
Yeah, because it'll be on the ballot in 2022. Will be effective
if they get enough signatures, right?
Yeah.
We can stop it here. They're probably going to get their signatures because they know where to go to get as many as they need. But we can kill it on the ballot. So this is something that we're going to talk about continuously.
Yep.
But the ranked choice ballot. Ranked choice voting is just another scheme to keep control because now the populace is getting involved. And if you have to vote for somebody and put them in order, you're always going to put the one you want the most at the top. You're always going to know the one you don't want, and then you're going to fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? The people that fill in the gaps, those are the bought and paid fors that they're using this system to create. And guess what? The map, the Shaw map, the Pelosi map, fits in wholly with this.
Yeah.
Wholly designed for this purpose.
Yep.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
But this comes from outside money, right? A guy named John Hancock. Shame he has such a great name.
Awesome name. I bet his signature isn't as cool.
Probably not at all.
No, I bet he's not as cool.
No, he probably does it in print. Like doesn't even do it in cursive.
Yeah.
So John Hancock, he's a Republican consultant. They call this guy a hired gun. And what that means is I will do whatever I have to do for the money you give me. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's the one pushing this initiative with another dude. I forget his name. Not important right now.
No.
But hired gun doing what he can do to get this pushed. But again, remember, guys, Republican consultant, not a Democrat. Republican consultant. All right. So they're in the signature gathering process now. It's out-of-state money. It's going to be a ballot initiative. We have to destroy this on the ballot. The voice of the people have to be heard because if this gets through, they've just now put something through. Let's check my notes. They've the House, while we were in the middle of battling for the redistricting, the House has just put through a 2/3 majority vote to say that it would have to be overruled. In other words, if this does pass, it will take 2/3, 66%, right? Is that 2/3?
Yeah.
66% of the populace to override it. which means it will never be
It'll
overridden.
never get done.
Right. So
That's
if
why
this happens,
it has to be ended now.
if this happens, we are screwed.
Yeah.
But the good thing is I'm actually really excited because we're talking about it now.
So early on.
Right.
Because a lot of people are going to get out in November and vote.
Right.
And if they know that this is
it's
bad
gonna be
news, it'll be
glorious.
gone.
It's going to be glorious because guess what? The grassroots is going to defeat the giants and the establishment.
Yep.
So we're going to go more into that in the next episodes, but the ranked choice voting, okay, goes along with the redistricting map. Call your senators, call your representatives and ask them how they feel about this. And don't come in swinging. Because if you come in swinging, they're going to put up their gloves and they're going to block.
Yeah.
And then you're going to feel like maybe they're for us or they're against us. Be like, hey, I was hearing about this ranked choice voting and I'm an ignorant voter that doesn't know anything. What do you think? And then let them tell you.
Yeah.
Because if they're the slime balls that I think they are, they're going to try and convert you with their knowledge.
Yeah.
Because
Or they'll
they
just
think you're
simply let
uneducated.
something slip. So
Yeah.
before we get off of this, though, we ought to really point out that number one. The information that we were able to get.
So this was out in the Gateway Pundit. If anybody wants to look at it, this individual, and I'm not even going to say their name because I don't want to get anyone connected, but this is from the inner establishment. And so basically this whole thing was a pre-planned and false narrative. The Republicans and the Democrats have already come together on this, according to this, right? And they're actually even going to pretend. The Democrats are going to pretend and put up a fake fight, but not push hard enough so that it can actually get so they can actually get passed, right? And the whole point is the Republican establishment and the Democrat establishment has come together in, get this, after 2016. This is how long they've been planning this to thwart the right-wing trajectory.
Yeah. Because of Trump, because of the election of Trump in 2016.
Because of the waking up of the people and realizing that, oh my God, our scandals are going to come to light. Our election...
we're about to get exposed.
Yes. Right. Because we broke the algorithms in the 2016 election. I don't know if you guys knew that. There was fraud in the 2016 election. They had algorithms in the machines. That's why we have to go machineless voting, paper ballots, hand counted. I don't give a damn how much it costs, right? That's the craziest thing. It costs money. Well, it's our freedom in our republic, so I think it's worth it. Yeah. Anyways, so we beat those algorithms. They're now trying to figure out the best way possible to beat us now. So this person gives a great tip on how to snuff these individuals out. So she says, look at who came into Mo politics on the Republican side post-Trump with lengthy histories, without lengthy histories. In other words, they recruited people after Trump came in to be a part of this. Okay, and all we're doing is we're just connecting some dots and we're putting names out there for you all to go and investigate to find out. Okay, because it says. Basically, look who just appeared in the last 6 years, both in elected positions and in staff. Right now, this doesn't mean that the establishment's not a part of this. Of course they are, but they've brought in new blood under the guise of being great and populist people, and they are part of the ploy too. Right. So I'll just give you some names. Senator Bean,
Mr. Bean.
He is, from what the website says, he has no political history as far as in state legislature. A lot of the time, senators will come over from the House. It just makes sense. You go through the House, you learn the process, you come over and you go into the state. This guy is fresh off the streets and was elected in 2020.
Yeah, where was he at before? It's a good thing to find out.
Yeah, and he's also against the 7-1 map and for the Pelosi map. It's weird, right?
Interesting.
Another person, Justin Brown. He was elected in 2018, fresh off the streets. And the crazy thing about this guy is, the word on the street was he was wonderful when he came in. And everybody's literally like, what happened? Well, kind of makes sense now.
Yeah.
He was a sleeper.
Yeah.
Right? We've heard that before.
Yeah.
Sleeper.
Yeah, sleeper.
Then, I hate to say this because she used to be a conservative caucus member. O'Loughlin.
Yep.
Cindy O'Loughlin.
Yep.
And we didn't know what happened to her. She's got a lot of issues
anyway.
Well, we didn't know what happened to her. Yeah, you're right. And that's a good point.
Yeah. We'll bring into that. That's a whole nother rabbit hole.
I know, man. So O'Loughlin.
That's the name of the show. The Rabbit Hole.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
so this might be the name of the show, guys, The Rabbit Hole. O'Loughlin, 2018, she came in fresh off the streets. Now, this is another person, Esslinger, E.S. Linger.
Esslinger.
She came in to the Senate in 2020. However, she was in the House in 2018 to 2020. So I bring her up because it's kind of weird that somebody would go from one term in the House to right into the Senate. She may not be a part of it, but she's also voting for the Pelosi map.
Yeah.
So everybody is that I'm naming. And the last one, pains me to say this, Tony Meyer. Fresh off the streets, 2018.
Yeah. He's our guy. He's our
guy.
Yeah.
And it's what's weird though is like, he just seemed like he was an upstanding person. Well, a lot of people thought he was.
Says you.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, so Tony Meyer, Senator Bean, Senator Brown, Senator Esslinger, and Senator O'Loughlin. These are people that we could look into for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's what we need to do is look in to see where they came from, where were they before, how did they come out of nowhere, and get in their positions now.
Correct, because these people are also
why are they
have
voting for
political
that, Matt?
ambitions, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But they're not established yet. So like Schatz and Rowden and Lincoln Huff. Like tough but not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I've been calling him Lincoln Ho.
Right.
Not because of any it's spelled
This is how it's spelled.
Hough.
Again, the way
and
they
I think of
spell
the
it.
word though.
Though. Yeah. Lincoln though.
Though ho. That's how
Yeah.
I make. That's how I think of words.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's Huff.
Huff.
And we're
Rhymes with
like
tough.
Right. But
he's not.
But not tough. Listen, guys. This dude has the worst conservative Republican voting record in Missouri history.
Yep.
Guys, the worst voting record in Missouri history. The ACU, the American Conservative Union, is that what it's called?
I think that's
Union?
what it is. Yeah.
American Conservative, those
Underbelly?
guys, the CPAC, they're engaged with CPAC. Anyways, there are peoples that we like to, we think they're on our side too.
Yeah.
They gave him a 56 score, lifetime, 56 out of 100 for a lifetime score as a Republican.
That's terrible.
Guys, that's an F.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get out of high school with that. So,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So, anyways. Okay.
He should be looked into just because.
I think he's the one who brought that bill, the fast track bill, just
Right.
the other day.
Yep.
That Moon. So here, let's talk about this real quick.
Let's do that, yep.
Moon and O'Loughlin. Senator Moon offered an amendment on this fast track bill that Lincoln brought in. Huff. I literally did not mean to do
Yeah,
that.
Huff.
Lincoln Huff brought in. And his amendment was basically stating, so the fast track thing is like paying for internships or getting them into work quicker. And it's kind of from the way that it's worded, the language is basically a socialist program that eventually pays for college tuition totally. Right? So Lincoln Huff does this. Senator Moon says, I'm going to put a amendment in this, and this amendment's going to basically say that we won't give any funding to any organizations or any schools that promote boys in girls' sports. It's trying to protect the girls, right?
You're right.
Well, guess who voted for it? Our conservative caucus members, our Patriot senators, and everybody else that voted against it. O'Loughlin was upset and said that, well, the reason why they were just trying to tank the bill, and that should have come through the education committee anyways. And I was like, that's interesting. So I dug into it a little bit more and come to find out, why didn't she try and tank the bill too? I mean, that's a bad bill. It's a socialist bill. Why didn't she try and tank it? Why was she on the side of that bill? It's super weird. Anyways, so then she says it should have been on the education committee. And then I've come to find out she's the chairwoman of the education committee.
Huh.
So I'm like,
well, now she has something to do.
don't we have this like really big thing going on with like mask mandates and coming after our kids? And I mean, isn't that the reason the grassroots are really fired up? Is because of these amazing mothers, mama bears and super moms and all this other stuff getting into it. And then she's on the chair of the education committee. Senator O'Loughlin, what have you done to help? I'm just wondering.
Let's bring her on the show.
Yeah, if she'll come.
I'll send her an email.
Yeah, great. Perfect. Perfect. This guy is on point.
Man.
On point. Anyways, okay.
Hardest working man in podcast.
The point of all of this, guys, is to make it lighthearted, something that is absolutely reprehensible.
Reprehensible. Yeah.
Thank you. Apprehensible. Maybe.
Yeah.
So
But in this case, it's reprehensible.
these people are literally, we have an infestation problem of rhinos. We don't have a problem with Democrats. Let me read you these numbers real quick, okay? We have a supermajority. Let me explain to you what that means, okay? In the Senate, we have 34 total senators. We have 24. That's over a 2-to-1 ratio, guys.
Yeah.
24 to 10. Listen to this. In the House, we have 114 Republicans to 48. Why hasn't anything happened?
Right.
Why don't we look like Florida?
That means Democrats have nothing.
Why don't we look
in the
like
state.
Florida?
Right.
Why don't we have these amazing opportunities? Why aren't people racing to come over here? Maybe because we have a bunch of sellout traders. Man, you guys have made a big mistake. It's the wrong year. Wrong year. We're awake. Ugh, sorry for you. Somebody said it's like they won't be able to walk down the streets, right?
Someday.
Because everybody will see them, and they'll be able to call it all to attention.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna move from this. That was the exposure / educate, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna move
both.
into the educate portion, okay?
Yeah.
And we wanna be respectful of your time. So I'm a God-fearing man.
I've heard.
Yeah. And I believe that this country was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. It's not.
You don't have to believe it because it was.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And what's wonderful about this is this conversation doesn't mean you have to be a Christian. In fact, the whole reason why you cannot be a Christian in a Christian nation is because it's a Christian nation.
Right.
Wow. Right? You can be an atheist, you can be an agnostic, you can be Hindu, Buddhist, anything else, and we love you just the same. I mean, really do. If you come over here and you're an American, we're Americans. There's no such thing. Just let me put this out there. There's no such thing as African American, Chinese American, Indian American,
Irish American.
They're Americans.
Yeah.
We're all
You're
Americans.
gonna call me out on the spot like that, are you?
You're more Irish than me? Geez, Sam, I tell you, I don't know. I don't know about this one.
So we're
gonna go to a different place next
week. But the point is it's all language. It's all attack on the language of the people, right? Yeah. And we're all Americans. They want to divide and conquer. Jesus, I know everybody says that. Abraham Lincoln said it, and he did. But Jesus said it first. A house divided against itself cannot stand. He actually said a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand.
Yeah.
And that's what we're faced with. So I'm gonna just give you guys a real quick overview of. I was praying. I do that sometimes. I was praying the other day, and the Lord gave me Malachi. Okay, and in Malachi, it's an amazing book. So it's actually the last book before the New Testament, before everything changes over. Okay, and I just want to kind of highlight where it's at, and I feel like this is really happening again. You know, we serve the great I Am, the same yesterday, today, and forever. So he doesn't change. So we don't have to get a new book to understand what's going on. We can just go back to his. To his book and understand his character, and then you can kind of understand the rest. Anyways, it starts out with Malachi 2:10. Have we not all one Father? So Malachi is reprimanding these people because of how far away they've strayed from their moral values, right, and their founding. Have we not all one Father? Hath not one God created us? Why do we deal treacherously every man against his brother by profaning the covenant of our fathers, our forefathers? This is parallel to me. Okay, this is parallel to me to where we are in America right now. We deal treacherously with each other in the leadership. This is really what this is pointing to more than anything. And the culture then is because of the leadership, right? It's top down kind of thing. Head sick, the body sick. By profaning the covenant of our fathers. What is the covenant of our fathers? For the Constitution.
Yep.
Right? All men are created equally. So, anyways, and it goes on to 2:17. It says, "Ye have wearied the Lord with your words." And yet we say, wherein have we wearied him? And he says, when you say that everyone that doeth evil is good. Wow. That's kind of like what we're dealing with all the time, right? Where people are saying like, oh, it's inclusion and it's all good and it's fine and whatever, it doesn't matter if they're destroying lives or anything else. And then also saying, well, where's the judgment? Where's he at? Yeah, he's not judging. He doesn't care, right? So he's wearied God. It's toilsome. It's troubled him. And he basically says that I'm sending my messengers to reestablish things and bring things back the right way. And I think that's the grassroots, to be honest with you. Everybody that I've met in this war, in this battle, that are some of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life, are all God-fearing people, even though they may not be churchgoers. I'm not a churchgoer. I feel like the churches have failed us.
Yes.
And the Word of God tells us that the church is the body of Christ.
Yeah.
We're the church.
Yeah.
We're not a building.
Yeah.
We're not a building. Yeah. I'm glad we're not a building, because then we would be stationary and then we wouldn't be able to do anything, right?
You said something about don't build like big temples or something.
Yeah, don't build temples or statues or erect things in people's honor, Right. I mean, yeah. Right. But who, these guys aren't paying attention to the word. They're just using it to their advantage.
Yeah.
501c3s, they have to keep their tax exempt status, so they can't talk about certain political things. Uh-huh. So the church has been
forced masks.
Yeah, dormant. The church has been dormant. The church has been broken down.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but the church is rising up. and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Think about what that says. For the longest time, Jesus said, I found my church on this rock. He was talking to Peter. I found my church on this rock, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it, right? Well, what do the gates of hell guard? Don't they guard hell, right? And then aren't there like captives in there? So if the gates of hell, are they used as gates used as offensive weapons or defensive weapons?
Well, there's the Great Wall of China. That's on defense. And
there's the Vatican Wall.
Oh, the Vatican Wall.
That's defensive.
Yeah, boy.
Well, so then the gates of hell should not prevail against the church. That means the church is supposed to kick the doors open and set the oppressed free, right? Set the captive free. Anyway, so God's basically saying there's a time now where he's going to judge the adulterers, the false swearers, those that oppress, those that turn aside the stranger from their right, the ones who, you know how they use the immigrants. Look what they're doing to these people at the border. Not only are they flooding us, they're dropping these kids off and leaving them as distractions so they can run their drugs on the other side. These babies, man. Yeah. Like, it's just the most horrendous thing, and it's the leadership. So when I say, like, you know, sorcerers, adulterers, false swearers, all this other stuff, we've all had our sins, right? It's not about that. It's about the leadership. That's what it's talking to. And it says that they've robbed God. And the churches always talk about robbing God. Always. Don't you rob God. In other words, give me your tithes.
Right.
But if we go back and we think contextually, right? So exegesis is using the text as it was meant to be instead of reading into it. Right? And we use good biblical hermeneutics, meaning we use the whole of Scripture to interpret Scripture, so the whole context. The tithes and the offerings, the tithes were basically a tax process to establish the priesthood, which was the government. That's where the judges and everything were. That's where everything resided. You had elders and stuff, but that was the established law.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then the gifts were just gifts on top, you know, giving on top of the taxes. You could akin those to charities, right? And it says that you've robbed me because you haven't brought them into the storehouse, all of them. In other words, it's like they're funneling the money out to other purposes. And he says, if you did that, imagine what I could do. I could open up the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing so much that you couldn't contain it. And all the other nations would call you blessed. And so what our problem is not the people, but the established leadership that we've allowed to get away with all this stuff. And my whole point of bringing this up is the Lord has a promise waiting for his people if we decide to move forward and take back what is ours. And then a lot of churches preach Romans 13 and 1 Peter 2, which talk about subservience to the government. Right. Well, first of all, let's remember something. We're the government.
We are the government.
So that's the first thing. And then let's take the context of all the other great heroes of biblical history, right? And when they did not lay down to the government. Hebrew midwives. So back in the Egyptian time, right, when the Israelites were still slaves, there was a prophecy talking about there was going to be a deliverer from that area, and they were. Sorry, that's with Jesus. So they were growing in number, and a Pharaoh came through that didn't remember Joseph, and said, basically used this ploy. It sounds so political to me. They're growing in number. We need to cull them because if we don't, they may when war arises, they may gather with our enemies and then come against us. Right. So they used fear tactics. So what they did is they went out and killed all the firstborn males. Right. It was a law. Before it was a law. Before it was decreed, he went and told all the midwives secretly. Kill them. If when the women are having babies, and if you see that it's a boy, kill it. Right? If it's a girl, you can let it live because they're going to breed them out. Right? But if it's a boy, kill it. Well, the midwives said no, they didn't. Right? Because they feared God, and you know what happened? They were blessed. They said God blessed them because of it. So there's one example of disobeying government righteously. Moses and his parents, they were supposed to kill their kid. But they said by faith, and because they believed in God, they put him in the basket.
Roll him down the river.
Right. So by faith, and what came from that? A complete deliverance of a nation. Mm-hmm. Wow, weird. What about the 3 Hebrew children? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were supposed to bow down to Nebuchadnezzar's golden statue and worship it, and they said no. So he threw them in the hot, fiery furnace, right? And they didn't burn. And they came out, and Nebuchadnezzar was like, oh my God, you serve the real one true God. And then he made a proclamation that everyone serve their God. Interesting. Then when Cyrus or the Persians took over, right? Daniel was still in his seat of authority, I guess you could say. It was a consultant, not a consultant, but you know what I'm saying. He was a wise man, considered one of the wise men. Daniel in the lion's den. You guys know that story. Everybody knows that story, right? He basically the corrupt leadership that hated him, right? Because Cyrus actually liked him. The king of Persia actually liked him. They came together because they were jealous of him, and then they used Cyrus's hubris to say, "Hey, what if we create a law that, you know, for the next 30 days, no one bows down and worships anybody but you?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, sure," you know, and he signs it, but it was setting Daniel up. Well, Daniel found out about it, and it was a law decreed by the Persians that can't be reversed. That's their custom. That if you bow down and worship anybody, pray to anybody else besides the king for 30 days, you'll be thrown into the lion's den. You know what Daniel did? He went right home and prayed with his window open.
Oh.
You know what happened? Got thrown into the lion's den. They didn't need him. He got pulled out because Cyrus was so upset. He loved Daniel, but he had to go. He was trapped in the law. But those people who did it, they all got thrown in with their families. And then Cyrus wrote a decree, and it's actually been found recently in the Persian annals, saying how great the God of Daniel was. So there's another blessing. God gets the glory, and they get lifted up. You have Mordecai not bowing to Haman, right? And then God used that to destroy all of the enemies. You have Acts where the apostles, you know, they were brought in by the officials and said, "Don't preach the gospel anymore." And they said, "Well, you discern whether we should do what you say or what God says." And then they kept on preaching, and look where we are now. You know, this country was founded on the gospel because of it, the freedom, right? And then all the way down, the Magi's avoiding the kings and all this other stuff. So the point is, we are called by a higher purpose, a higher moral standard, whether you believe in Christianity or not. Because if you lose Christianity, you don't have that higher moral standard anymore, right? You can't appeal to the law of God if you don't believe in God, right? So they kind of trap you. But the point is it goes into the law of the lesser magistrate, right? Where if something goes wrong, we have the right to step in as that authority and be an intercessor or intercession, step in between, a mediator for what is right. And if we step up and do that, then biblically we have the ability to be blessed, right? But no one wants to step up. No one has wanted to step up. No one's wanted to say anything.
Well, the problem is people have forgotten that. People have forgotten that you don't ever obey an immoral order or judgment. And they don't know how to stand up for themselves because they think they're alone. They think they're by themselves.
Right.
Does everybody else think this way?
Right.
I like to think that COVID has actually opened those people up to think, I am not alone. There are plenty of people who think like me. Whether they want to wear a mask or not or get the shot or not, that's fine. But it's a choice, and you should not be condemned one way or the other.
Correct.
Right? And I think what that has done is brought people together to realize that they are not alone.
Agreed. And that's the thing. Like, that's the church. The church is the body of Christ, and you can't, like, if you don't have feet, you can't walk.
Yeah.
So the eyes are useless, the hands, you know what I mean? So you're right, and it's been that division thing. And not only is it like we can say it's morally right, but it's been codified in law for us.
Yeah.
So I just want to read real quick a part of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, sure.
I really want to kind of like drive this home. Okay.
Yeah.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equally, right? So they're saying that truth, that we're all created equally, is self-evident. We don't even need to talk about it.
Right.
It's like, duh. That they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights that cannot be taken away at all, because if you didn't give it to me, you can't take it away, right? And that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that to secure these rights, and governments are instituted among men. So in other words, it's saying the rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, the whole reason government is created is to secure those for the people. And it says the government derives their just powers from the consent of those being governed. In other words, the government gets their power from us saying, yes, I like the way you're doing this, period.
That's it.
Right? And then that whenever any form of government, local, state, federal, local would be Board of Elections.
Yeah.
That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, what ends? The pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When it destroys those ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, to change it or to destroy it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its power in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect, not affect, but effect, bring to pass their safety and happiness. Guys, this means that it is written in law that it is our right to have a government that protects our pursuit of happiness, life, and liberty, right? And if they don't, it is our right to abolish it and to change it in the way that we see fit. And then from there, we go into the Constitution, and I was doing all of this research and all the way down because I know it for the most part, but I wanted to be able to teach it. And it all came down to this: the state and the federal government can't do anything that violates your rights. Period.
Simple as that.
Period.
Simple as that.
Right? I mean, so the denied powers. So there's implied powers, there's reserved powers, there's denied powers, right? So the denied powers means, which is the simplest way to do it, the federal government can't have any action that violates the Bill of Rights. Freedom of speech, Second Amendment, right to bear arms, right? Freedom of assembly, all this other, the entire Bill of Rights. And then the state authority can't deny any individual's rights without due process. And the 14th Amendment applies the Bill of Rights to the state. So in other words, nowhere you go in the entire nation can anyone under the code of law, right, the colors of law, can do anything to violate your rights. But the problem is you know what a mandate is?
Requests to comply.
Yes, and when you put your mask on, you comply.
You're complying.
They're literally saying, this is a mandate. Yeah. What they should say is, this is a request for you to do this.
Right. Yeah, it should be, and that's how it, and they've confused the language by saying it's a mandate,
right.
Shit, you got to do it.
Right,
no.
We don't know language.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
No, it is a request to comply. You can very respectfully say, no thank you.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
And that is the big problem. And people need to know their rights.
Correct.
Always fight for your rights. Know your rights and fight for them.
Correct.
If you don't want to wear a mask, and this is just with anything, but with a mask.
This is a great lesson. This is a great civics lesson. This is a great lesson in our rights that we realize how we can do it, right? We don't have to do anything that's not a law. And if a police officer, this amazing Patriot woman, Amber, I believe the name is, from the St. Charles County Parents Association. I watched her video of them at the school board meeting, and the tyrants of the school board meeting were like trying to get the police officer to make her put on her mask or get out, and she stood up for her rights. And it was the most hilarious thing to see this lady put this cop in his place. She goes, I'm not doing anything wrong. You can't trespass me on public property if I'm not committing a crime. You're law enforcement. You're not policy enforcement.
Right.
Those people have no authority, right? And he had to walk away.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Yeah. But we all need to do that. Right. Because if one woman can stand up and do that, and we've seen it multiple times across the country, imagine if we all did that.
Correct.
Right?
And it's all about just knowing your rights,
right.
Knowing what you can do
right.
without causing a scene, becoming a disturbance.
Right.
Know your rights.
Right.
You're right. That cop should have never stood or tried to walk down and get her out of there.
Right.
She did nothing wrong.
Well, and so this should be a really good lesson to everybody too. That cop didn't know the law.
Didn't know. Yeah.
And I mean, I don't even really blame him.
No.
I mean, we all should know the law being citizens, but I didn't know the law until all this came down on me, and hopefully he's learning the law too.
Yeah.
But that means that you should be informed of the law. So when you deal with people who don't know the law and they're paid to enforce it and took an oath to the Constitution to defend it,
right.
that you can direct them so that they can do their job.
Correct.
And, so it's up to us.
And you can do it peacefully. You can do it calmly, rationally.
Right, and with authority,
flip out because then he's gonna cut
right. Well, then you have
beat you with a billy club.
Right. You have to be able to play the game the right way.
Yeah.
Or we could light Wendy's on fire.
Oh yeah. They'd love to do that.
Is that legal?
The Bullum movement.
The Bullum.
BLM.
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 Oh, yeah.
All these acronyms.
Elias. Mark Elias. Yeah, he's taken over. Act Blue. He's taken over.
Did you guys hear that funny story that how BLM is actually a shell company to fund Democrats? Isn't that crazy?
Really?
It took all these unsuspecting people's money and propped up the Democratic Party.
Wait a minute.
Messed up.
That's
Great lead-in, Sam. That was phenomenal.
That's
that was
good
phenomenal.
job, Dan. The best in the business.
I'm telling you. So to wrap this up and to get into the last part, the call to action, right? So this is the doctrine of the lesser magistrate is basically this, that you have the right. So the 10th Amendment basically says that anything that is not enumerated to the federal government is the power of the states, and it says or the people, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's this kind of like there's this trajectory where the federal government is supposed to protect you from everything, from foreign invaders and all this other stuff, right? And from other states fighting with each other and all that. Well, if they fail, then the state's supposed to protect you, and if they fail, the sheriff's supposed to protect you, right? And if he fails, guess what? You have the right to protect yourself.
That's correct.
Because that's where it ultimately lies. And really, it's always been us.
We have good sheriffs around here.
I agree.
Real good sheriffs.
I agree. But the good thing is if we ever get into a situation where we have a bad sheriff, we still have the right to defend ourselves.
Of course.
And to exact our rights. And the people talk about the Constitution as a living, breathing document. That's the biggest malarkey that I've ever heard. And the reason why is the Constitution is a contract between the states. And that contract created the federal government. Right. Mm-hmm. So like if you have a contract, where people like want to talk about, hey, I know your contract says you'll get paid $150,000 every year, but it's living and breathing.
Yeah.
How about $75,000? No.
Mm-mm.
Don't give me that trash.
Yeah.
It's simple. And they make it so much harder with their jargon, and that's why we have to continually get together, educate each other, and move forward as a unit, as we the people. It's the greatest statement, greatest little 3 words ever. We the people. That's who we are. Yeah. And we have to continue to move forward in that. And the doctrine of the lesser magistrate is, we're going to keep going into this, but we want this wording to go around because people say, what is that? What is the doctrine of the lesser magistrate? It sounds cool. It is cool. It sounds cool.
It is real
but
cool.
This gets the conversation going. And then we can say, well, it's really about the 10th Amendment. It's about our rights. It's about us being free, sovereign individuals and not handing our rights over to the federal or state or local governments. Right. We the people.
Because rights cannot be taken.
Correct.
Rights can only be given.
Right. And who gave them to us? The Creator. Interesting. And they can't. A lot of them don't even believe in him. So it's like, hey, how are you going to take that away? Anyways. Okay, so we move from that into the last portion, which is the call to action. Okay, and so if you go to the RINO Watch site, right? So mRwinowatch.com, you will find 2 different areas that say the Patriot Media Network, and then you will also find the Grassroots Army. Okay. And so the first thing that you should do is go through and find what stands out to you. What I've learned about this and what I love is that all of these different people have amazing talents, and some people do things better than others, and they're going to be found in the niche that they serve best. Right. And so our goal at Missouri Rhino Watch is not only to call out and expose the rhinos and make fun of them so we can laugh instead of pull our hair out, because you see I don't have much left, is to also build a hub for the media network and also the Grassroots Army. Right. So that way you can all you have to remember is mRwinowatch.com. You go there and then you can find everybody else as we continue to build this network.
Right.
So we have a couple of different people that I want to shout out that they're phenomenal. The Patriot Network. So Jody Grace. This lovely lady is an amazing writer. She writes a blog, and she's constantly up at the Capitol. She is very informed. She writes incredibly well.
Yes.
And if you really want to stay educated, I check her stuff out. She's the one that gave me the insight about the Rhino lies on the redistricting map and so on. She has done excellent work. She continues to do excellent work, and she is wholeheartedly in this fight. So go check her out. Please check her out and support her, spread her around, her message around everywhere. Also, Informed Health Choice Missouri. This lady, Mrs. Barker, wonderful, wonderful woman, patriot, God-fearing woman. She has been fighting for medical freedom for 5+, longer than that, but been in incorporated, I guess, or an organization for 5 years. She's been fighting down in Jeff City for us before we even knew what was going on. This lady is wonderful, and it's her side gig that she does pretty much full time. So she's a mother, and she's a full-time worker, and then at the same time she is a patriot fighting for this stuff. So we want to make sure we give her support and follow her because she brings up all the information about bills that we need to be worried about,
Yeah.
or that we need to get behind, right? And so she has a team. They went through like 50 bills this year. Dude, I tried to go through a couple of bills. It was not easy. And they go through 50, and they are diligent. And this is a labor of love that they do. So let's make sure we show them support. Also, my good friend, Darren Ross, he is starting a wonderful podcast called Patriots with Grit. And his goal is to really network and just get people's stories out there and do really good work. I mean, this guy is phenomenal. He is in the fight, and he is doing anything and everything he can to expose the corruption. He's really been involved in the school stuff, the school boards and all this other stuff, showing up where no one else would show up. He showed up where no one else was at the Liberty School meeting, because a lot of people have given up on that. But he's staying in the fight. So this guy deserves all kinds of credit for that. And we definitely want to make sure that we get as many eyes on his podcast, because it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Dr. Eric Naputi, I know a lot of people know him. He's out in St. Louis. He has been in this fight for a long time, and he is, I believe, a chiropractor, but he has been fighting against all the COVID scandals and really bringing light to that, and he is a die-in-the-wool patriot, so make sure we check him out too. And then the St. Francis County Beef Initiative. So this cat, I love this guy, and I met him. I met him over the phone.
Yeah, you just met him the other day, right?
Yeah. Wonderful individual.
What's his face?
Ryan Cooper.
Yep.
And they are starting basically a localized beef chain. Localize your food supply. And so the idea is becoming self-sufficient, so we're not reliant on the government or on Wall Street for our money or for our food, and then them tainting it and everything else, but giving back to the community, making us more communal, bringing us together, feeding us, and putting food on the table. I mean, and this is a wonderful initiative that he is a part of, and show these guys your support. But more than that, get involved and understand what they're doing, because we need that over here. He's over there. We need that over here. Right? I don't have any cows. I don't know how to raise cows, but I bet there's plenty of people out there listening that have cows and know how to raise them, and we could make this work. And guys, there's so much opportunity locally, so much money locally. Like, people have the mindset of, you're not Walmart, you're not making money. That's trash. There's if we could feed
people
each other.
People don't want Walmart. They have to go to Walmart.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
We could, as a community, if we came together and we started supporting local businesses and started being local businesses, we could all flourish, thrive. Not just like, oh, we get by. We would thrive. And then the last two, NPA, which is the Northland Parents Association.
Northland.
Fighters. What they are right now really is, you can find them you find their website, northlandparentassociation.com. And then you can also find them on the Facebook page. But what they're really doing is they're a hub for information about what's happening with the Northland school boards in Clay and Platte County.
Clay and Platte. Yeah.
Clay and Platte County. And then, of course, I've already mentioned Amber, but there's 5 super women that formed this St. Charles County Parents Association. And they are, firebrands. They are the same kind of concept with MPA, but they are heavily engaged right now with a lot of different stuff. They promoted an event for homeschooling, different things like that. They're all over the place with the things that they're doing. But these people are patriots. They were at the rally at the Capitol. They are really sold out to the purpose of furthering our nation and our children's future, which is everything, right? And then for the Northland parents, if you all want to get involved, so I'm proud of the Northland. They are doing some work. If you guys want to get involved, go to Patriots for, where's that? I wrote that down. Let me find it. Sorry. Patriots for Health and Freedom at patriotsfortruthandfreedom.com. I'm so sorry. So you can reach out or go there and get involved, and they will put you in formation so that you can actually go out and do some work.
Yeah.
Right. And then last but certainly not least, I want to give a shout out to my wonderful friend Brian and Faith. They are expecting their 5th baby.
Whoa. 5th
baby. And I think he said they've had them all at home.
Ouch.
Yeah. They're I was like, I got 3. He's like, I got 5. Yeah. Almost 5. So happy birthday. They don't know if it's a boy or girl yet. They like the surprise. And happy birthday whenever that happens. God bless you guys. We are really excited for you. And Brian, the work that you're doing, like I said, man, you're anointed and you're a man of God. So I appreciate you. And Faith, you have to be amazing. I haven't met you in person, but to know that guy, you definitely are holding up a real strong man. So I thank you for that. And then last call to action, very last thing. Central committees start the election starts on the getting on the ballot starts on the 22nd of February through the 29th of March. Listen to this, guys. If you're on the committee, you have a lot of authority that you never knew you had, a lot of clout that you never knew you had. There are a lot of seats open, and there are a lot of establishment people still in these seats. Go get on the board, or go get on the ballot. I dare you.
Go to your county, find out where they meet, get involved.
Yeah.
Even if you can't get elected,
right.
become
get
a captain.
Involved. Yeah, or become a guest. I mean,
Right.
we have more guests at Platte County than we do have committee
correct.
people show up, and they're doing work.
And that's where we started.
That's where we started. That's right.
where we
were
started.
guests. Yep. And then we moved a little bit here and there, and precinct captain. Then I got the committee seat recently, and the point is just get involved so you know what's going on. But get on that ballot, because there's a lot of open seats that will be unopposed, and then all of a sudden we have a majority, or we at least have a stake.
Right.
And then we can do a summit, and we can come together, and we can make things work.
And that's important to get all the committees together, because those 14 rhinos that we were talking about, they have to go back to those
they
committees,
do.
like ours
They
at
do.
Luke Meyer.
Yep.
He has to come
He
back
will
to
come
us
back and face us
answer
eventually.
questions.
That's right.
And
we
we have that information.
And we have the ability to censure people. We have the
That's
ability. Understand that if your committee comes out and says we are against this person is probably going to get primaried.
Yeah.
I mean, that's real
Absolutely.
power there. And you also are involved in everything else that's important to do with the elections and so on. You have the inside knowledge. This is our country. We have to take it back. Go get involved. February 22nd. Google your board of elections. Call them and ask them, how do I get on the ballot to be a Republican Central Committee member for my precinct? Right? Just do it.
Easy peasy.
Easy peasy. All right. So.
Well, I didn't have time for weather or sports. Maybe next time.
Yeah, maybe next time.
Yeah.
Outside of that, guys, God bless you for being here, for being with us. This is exciting because this is like just a piece of a massive army that's rising up to do God's work and to take back our nation and to thrive. Like, don't feel discouraged. That is the worst thing you can do. If you get discouraged, you're giving up. Learn how to laugh at these people.
Yeah.
Learn how to
Mock
laugh,
them
and do not
at
let them
all
do not let them control you through anger, right? Because if they do, they win. But if we turn it around and we start making fun out of it, it gives us the power back, and then we can see them for who they are, and then we can take it down.
If they get discouraged, did you say they could contact us?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. If you get discouraged, contact us.
Absolutely.
We'll be happy to hear from you.
Yeah, we'll be more than happy to encourage you.
And if we made a mistake, let us know.
Yeah. If we made it, please.
He talks a lot.
Yeah, I do talk a lot. If we made a mistake, let us know. And also, if there's, let us know where we need to look next. We're going to keep focusing on these senators, right? Because this is a big deal, and this is our battle at the moment. But we want to know about local levels. We want to know about, if you have a shady sheriff for whatever reason, or if you have a board of election that's shady, or if you have school board tyrants, or if you have health board tyrants, whatever. If you want to get involved and you just don't know what to do, reach out, man. I mean, my number is literally on the website. It's my cell phone. It's this cell phone that's got a lot of messages on it right now. So you can call me, because I'm in this fight for real. My brother right here is in this fight for real, and good old Sam is absolutely down for the...
Sam answered the door. That was his problem.
That's true.
If he never answered the door,
we wouldn't be here.
Well, he wouldn't be here.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. All right, guys. So thank you very much for your time, for listening to us. Hopefully you'll see us next week. We're going to bring it back and dig in further. We're going to continue to expose people. But just know we're in this to win this. There is no option for defeat. There's none.
Agreed.
Take care. God bless. For God and country.
See ya.